Good evening, brothers and sisters. Salam alaikum. Power to the people. My brothers and sisters all across the United States, the USA. My brothers and sisters in South America. My brothers and sisters in Africa, all over Africa. My brothers and sisters in Europe, all over Europe. My brothers and sisters on the reservations in the big cities, my brothers and sisters way down under in Australia, my brothers and sisters worldwide. I appreciate you. I love you. I thank you for listening to me and supporting me. And inshallah, I'm going to continue reading and hopefully finish off this first chapter of my autobiography, Revolutionary Gangsters. So let's get on with it. George took a quick look in both directions of the street and said, "Let's go, G, and make it happen." I opened the door and stepped out from the back seat of the Chevy Impala. I closed the door behind me and George leaned his head into the back door. He was talking directly to Jamel. He said, "Jamel, synchronize your watch and be ready for the countdown." Jamel and Raheem were instructed to wait exactly 2 minutes before getting out of the car and following us into this bank. Timing was critical. As George and I turned the corner and was near the entrance of the bank, I was hyped up and ready. The most uncomfortable thing I felt was carrying in my waist. It was a sawed-off shotgun, not my .30 caliber carbine. The only difference was the 12 gauge were over and under, and George had double-aught buckshot in both his barrels. In mine, I had double-O buckshot in the right barrel, and I had a rifle or a deer slug in the left. Two things that made me feel a little uncomfortable about this shotgun was, one, it wasn't mine and I had never shot it before. And this was the first time I ever did a robbery or a sting with a gun that I had never shot or was not my own possession. When I looked at this bank, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was huge. It covered half the block. When we walked inside the bank and I took a quick view, I seen that it had 15 tellers lined up from like a crescent style shape from the front to the back. The security guard was in the back of the bank standing there. A big white dude that looked like he was like some sort of ex-cop or something, had a little gray in his hair, big, maybe 6'3", looked like he worked out, looked like he was very aware. But then I looked around and I seen there was only one other black or African American person inside the bank online, going to the teller. Me and George were the only African American men in this bank. And now I understood why the security guard zoomed in on us. And as soon as we started walking toward the back in his direction, he eased his hand from the side of his waist and put his hand right on the handle of his .38 special revolver, like he was ready, or like he sent something, you know. So I just said I gotta be as calm and cool as possible. George peeked it right away, and he says, "Gee, I think we'll open up our account here because this bank looks very secure. I'm gonna put the whole $2,000 in. Let's ask the bank guard, which is the manager that we need to talk to." He said it loud enough so the security guard would hear it as we approached him. So he said, the security guard got to know which way or to direct us. And as we walked closer to the security guard, his eyes zoomed in into my eyes because I was squinched. And even though I appeared calm, I had the look of danger or the look of death in my eyes. And I seen as he stood with his hand on the grip, the handle of his pistol, I seen the one finger drop. I said, this mother effer is going to pull out his pistol. And I said, when he pulls it out, he got his hand on the trigger. And we was like about maybe 10 feet away from the guard. And George peeked it too. And he said, excuse me, officer. And when he said that and had this newspaper rolled up, excuse me, officer, he got the attention of the security guard focused on him. And that's when I came out with this little sawed-off 12-gauge shotgun. I said, freeze! Don't move. If you want to go home and see your wife and kids tonight, don't make a move. And that's when George complied with the same or similar type of statement. And when he said that, the security guard looked like he wanted to try me. And George came out and whipped his shotgun out. Now, anybody in their right state of mind that has any type of knowledge of weapons or law enforcement know that he would have to be insane to try to reach for a pistol when he got a double-barrel shotgun, sawed off, pointed at his face, and he got an over and under double-barrel shotgun pointed at his chest. No way. No way. Even if he got a shot off, he's a dead man. And he thought for a quick second, and George was right up on him. And when George got up on him, George said, don't do it. And his hand eased up off his pistol, and George popped him upside the head and took his .38 and took him down. He said, get paid, G. Well, he didn't mention my name. He said, get paid. And I went to the back. At that moment, a woman screamed, and a man had seen what had happened and was running to go outside the bank. As he was running to go outside the bank, here comes Raheem. Raheem came in. Raheem had .357 Magnum, okay, and told everybody on the floor, get on the floor. As he said that, George had the back end covered, telling people, putting them down, and I leaped over the counter with one big leap. Back in them days, they didn't have glasses or, bulletproof vests, bulletproof glasses and stuff like that. It was just a counter that was about as high as a person's neck, and you could lean on it, okay? And we was the ones that changed the whole system of bank. We were the ones that made them put those glasses and stuff like that to keep people from leaping over and sweeping the money, okay? Raheem, timing was perfect. He went to the front end. Somebody else was thinking about running out. That's when Jamel came in. And Jamel had my .30 caliber carbine. Everybody on the floor, hit the ground, kiss the floor. And people just like puppets, boom, flopped down. We didn't care nothing about the manager. We didn't care nothing about the vault, okay? Raheem jumped this side and was working his way down. Each of us had 2 pillowcases. Took one out, and I'm working this way here. We told the tellers to hit the floor. And one teller was reaching to hit the alarm button. And when she reached, I just turned around so fast because I caught it out the corner of my eye. And when I swung around, I didn't realize at the second that this shotgun that I had didn't have a trigger guard, okay? It didn't have a trigger guard to cover the trigger. So when I turned the shotgun around like that, my hand hit the side of the counter. I said, don't do it. But it was already too late. The shotgun went off. Ba-boom! Okay? Both barrels. And next thing I seen, the woman flip up in the air and fall on the ground. People start screaming. I said, oh, you're on the floor. All right? Flipped it open, took the shells, put them in my pocket, put 2 more in. Hold the shotgun, was throwing money, throwing money, throwing money, throwing money. I was 4 counters away from Jamel. I was already with my second bag, my second pillowcase. My first pillowcase was filled up with money, okay? George told us don't take any $1, $5, or $10 bills, okay? He said take only hundreds, 50s, and 20s because there was so much money there, okay? So we was dropping them. I'm in my second bag, working our way down. I hadn't even reached all the way to connect with Raheem when George said, time! And I looked. And Raheem looked. And Raheem, Raheem was like, he wanted to get it all, you know? And he went to go into the next register, and George walked over a little bit, and he said, time! Real loud. And that's when I leaped over the counter. Okay, when I leaped over the counter, I looked at the guard, because I wanted to make sure that he ain't have nothing down here or down here. And I looked at all the people that was on the floor. Okay, and I said, somebody might be wondering and thinking that I ain't got no more shots in my gun. I said, but if they try me as I'm going out this bank, they're going to be in for a big surprise, because I had already put 2 more double R buckshots in both barrels. Okay, and besides, we had Jamel stationed at the front of the bank, at the entrance, with a 30 shot caliber carbine. Okay, something that could shoot a helicopter down. Nobody was getting past him. Okay, and as George started walking to the front, he says, this one is for Angela Davis. And I wondered why he said that. Because it wasn't for Angela Davis. But, you know, that was his way as a revolutionary gangster. Okay? They had Angela Davis going through some stuff. They had just locked her up, you know, on some political nonsense. And George was like, this is for Angela Davis. You know what I'm saying? This is why we doing this. You know what I'm saying? To bring down the power structure. You know, to hit them, to hurt them, to let them know you cannot just do anything to our people and think there will not be any repercussions behind it. Okay, so I'm just like ad-libbing it because it's so fresh and clear in my mind. I didn't really have to read from it. Okay, but I don't need to read from it. I'm just gonna ad-lib it because I wrote it. It's here and it's here. As we went out the bank, as I said, you know, I'm generally always the first one in and the last one out. Okay, so George went out first. After George went out, Raheem went out. Okay, I stood there. Jamel this time pushed me in front to go out first because he had the big boy. All right, so when he pushed me out front, Pringle was right there. He had pulled the vehicle almost up on the curb. The door was open. I leaped in, and as I leaped in, Jamel came out with the carbine in his hand, coming out the bank like that. We looked around. We in an all-white neighborhood area, okay? Mostly Italians and Irish, nothing African-American on the sidewalks or nothing, okay? A couple cars going past looked at us like, where these N's coming from? You know the N-word, you know. But anyway, jumped in the car. As soon as we jumped in the car, Pringle was pulling off slow and easy. And I looked back and I see this white dude, young, running out the bank. And I remembered him because he was on the ground like this, but he was looking up sideways. And when I came past him, he like tried to lift up his head to try to figure out what was I. Was I a man, a woman, girl, boy? What was I? Okay, how I got this voice and looking with a wig on, you know? And he looked at me, and I said, "Put your face down," you know. And I remembered him. We got in the car, hit that corner, and turned. And Pringle said, "We got one on our tail." And that was the white dude that I'm talking about. He had jumped into a brand new Mustang. Okay, one of the, fat back Mustangs. And we in the old 65. This is 1970, and he in a 1970 Mustang. Okay, but Pringle was hitting it, man. Pringle was hitting it, and we driving, we falling all over each other in the back seat and stuff, and Pringle and George like, "Lose this mother effer," you know what I'm saying? And Pringle's like, he's wheeling this joint, Brother could drive, we on two wheels, and he's going 70, 80 miles an hour side street, and he said, "Gee, George, I can't lose this dude, man. His car's too fast and ours is too old," George said, "Don't worry about it," you know what I'm saying? He said, "When you make that next corner, turn and slam on the brakes." And I had already knew, because we was in a situation like this before. I knew what George was going to do. You know what I'm saying? And what I did was, I laid that shotgun on the floor. I said, "Jamel, give me my baby." And Jamel said, "Well," I said, "Give me my baby." And he gave me the 30 caliber carbine. And George said, "G, when we hit this corner, I'm jumping out on this side, you get out on the other side, and let this mother effer have it." So as we turned that corner and slammed on the brakes. The dude that was a cop, okay, because he had his little bubble that he put on the side that was trying to track us down, he swung around, and he figured that he was like almost on two wheels, and he smashed right into the back of us because we had slammed on our brakes and was only about maybe a house away or maybe 30, 40 feet away from the corner. And just as he turned, he just realized that we was stopped. And he smashed into us, boom, and shook us up a little bit. But he had jumped in so fast, I don't know if they had seat belts back then or what, but he had jumped in so fast, he didn't have no seat belt on, and his head smashed into the windshield, and then he tried to roll his way out. But he was stuck, and that's when George jumped out, and I'm coming at George jumped out on the side, on the right-hand side. I came out the left, and when George came out, he had the guard's .38 pistol, and he dropped in a position, pow, 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 empty 6 shots. Empty 6 shots into the windshield. But the dude was like laid back, okay, so he ain't really hit him up top or nothing. Me, I dropped down to one knee. Pa-dow, 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 pa-dow. I lit off of like about 8 to 10 shots. Matter of fact, it was 9 shots. When I later realized I lit off 9 shots. And his whole top motor part blew up in the air, fell off, windshield out, no sight of him. He's down. Okay. George jumped back in the car and said, "Get in the car." And I jumped in, and Jamel snatched me in. My legs is hanging out the car, and Pringle is driving. He's getting us up out of there. You know what I'm saying? My legs is hanging out the car. And I got my pistol, I got my 30 caliber carbine in my hand. I'm trying to look back. Ain't nobody following us no more. We all leaned back like that. We drove for about another 20 minutes. And we drove and driving. And next thing, we come to a block that almost looked like a dead-end street. And Pringle said, "This is it, everybody out." I didn't know what was going on. We had no knowledge of what the next vehicle was or where we was going or none of that. Certain information George would not put out until it was time for us to do it or be there. All right, we jumped out and it was a U-Haul truck. And George said, "All right, brothers, get in the truck. Everybody, get in the truck." And I was like, "What?" And it was a truck that had a U-Haul thing that came down, no windows, no vision, no nothing. I said, "Man, I'm not getting in there. I'm not, yo, hell no." You know? And when I said that, George looked at me and leaned close. He said, "Gee, we done did a lot of things together. All right, you the youngest brother, you the baddest brother. Okay, don't tell me your heart is quivering now. Because I told everybody, you got the heart of a lion. So show them and make the example and be the first one inside. I got you." And that's all he needed to say. Held on to the string, leaped up, jumped in, had the 2 money bags, pillowcases. Raheem helped him up. He had the other bags. Jamel jumped in with the shotgun. And we was in the truck. In the back of the truck, couldn't see nothing. We start hearing sirens. And we bouncing and bopping around. And I'm like, yo, I looked at my watch, man. I always kept a timepiece. I looked at my watch and I said, damn, so far we was in the back of that truck for 35 minutes. 35 minutes. The next thing, I could feel us like going back, you know, like we're going up somewhere, you know, we was going over a bridge. And I'm like, what the, you know? Anyway, to get to the point, moving it right along, okay, we drove all together for like almost an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then truck stopped. I said, I hope we ain't getting into another truck, man. Next thing, George opened up the back, you know what I'm saying? And I had my joint strapped under, had these pillowcases like up under here, and we're walking, and George and Pringle walking ahead of us, you know what I'm saying? And Jamil and Raheem walking together, and here it is me again. I got the back. I'm walking in the back. I'm covering the tail. I got the end of the security, you know? And we're in Long Island City, in the projects. Never been out there before. You know, I don't know where the hell I'm at, but I know I'm in the projects, and I see there's nothing but a lot of Hispanic and black people out here, so I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. And we go through the path, boom, 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 go in the building, get in the elevator, go upstairs. George give the code on the door, and sister that I never met before. George had women everywhere. He had safe houses everywhere. And this real dark-skinned, black Arabian sister opened the door, you know, and said, he made it, you know. She didn't know what we did, whatever, but she was just glad that we made it there. You know, she said, all right, you got the bedroom in the back. We all went into our bedroom. She had a big queen-size bed. You know, George said, let's see what we got. And we start dumping the pillowcases on the bed. And I'm like, oh, man, it was piled. Here's the bed. Money was piled up like this. And it was 150s and $20 bills. And I see why George said, don't take no 10s, 5s, and 1s. You know what I'm saying? And that was our getaway. That was our spot. Okay, so George assigned us. He said, G, you count all the 20s. He says, I'm going to count the 100s. Pringle count the 50s. He says, Raheem, you just stay by the door, man. Make sure nobody comes in and out. Right? He said, let me hold a carbine. Everybody wanted to hold my carbine, man. You know, I said, here, man. You know, boom. And we started counting. You know, I'm counting. Each of us had a denomination to count. and we're stacking, stacking, stacking. And it's too much money to stay on the bed. So we're putting it on the floor, putting it on the floor, counting, putting it on the floor. Okay, we're counting 5,000s, 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 5,000s. And when we got finished counting up the money, Pringle said, "You want to do a double count?" And George was like, "For what? You know, we don't need to do no double count. What we're going to do now is we're going to split it." You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this is more money than, you know, I had imagined that we was going to get from this bank. Okay, it was $140,000. $140,000. And George divided it. Boom. I said, "George, give me the smaller, give me, please, George, give me the 20s and the 50s and just a few hundreds, whatever. Give me the little money." And George laughed. He said, "You's a big roller, but now you want little money, huh?" And we was all elated, you know. And then George says, "What happened with that teller, man?" I said, "Yo, it was this freaking gun, man. You know, and she made a move to hit the button, and it didn't have no trigger guard. It wasn't my intention, you know, but it happened." And George was the first time I ever heard him give any sympathy about a person we shot during a robbery. And he said, "I hope she don't die, you know, because then we're going to have the heat of the FBI and the state. Everybody's going to be on us for killing a teller." You know, I said, "Well, it was me, man." He said, "No, it was us." And I said, "Right on, okay." We divided the money. Then George says he got a bank bag, and he said, "Put all the guns in this canvas bag, you know." And he said, "I'm getting rid of these." I said, "What? You getting rid of? You ain't getting rid of my carbine." George said, "Yeah, man, you can't carry this with you, man. You gotta let it go. Plus, you got so many guns. You gotta let this go, man. You can't chance traveling, you know, with this big ass thing and, you know, getting caught, man. You gotta let it go." And I'm like, "Nah, man." And Jamel Raheem was like, "Come on, man, you gotta let it go. We'll get you more, man." And then Raheem said, "Listen, when we get settled, I'm going to take you down south with me, my family down south. You know, they all Geechees, man. We buy all the guns in the world, man. Plus, you got plenty." I said, "But I don't got nothing like this. You know how hard it was for me to get this carbine and 30-shot clip in a car and a paratrooper stop, man. You know, I didn't want to give it up, but I did. You know, we all gave up our guns." And I had a shopping bag with money, with one bills in it, and I had another shopping bag with other money. And that was the success of the thing. So then it was like, George said, "Yo, just to be safe, man, clean out your house, man. You know, get rid of any of them things you got down there." I said, "But don't nobody know." And then he said, "Nobody know. But Jamel, didn't you say that Malachi was at your house? You know, when G got there and you was discussing, you know, about meeting me and we had a job? That was enough of a mistake right there." You know, he said, "But he said, listen, just do what I say, man. Y'all clean out your house, man, because you never know anything could happen, you know." And he says, "We'll stay in contact." He said, "What y'all gonna do?" Jamel and Raheem said, "We going to Massachusetts, man. We going to university." They had two girls that was on the college campus. And they asked me what I'm gonna do. And I said, "Oh, shit, I forgot." I said, "This is October 16th. I got 2 tickets to see the Jackson 5. Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, their first time in New York City with Earth, Wind, and Fire. And with the Voices of East Harlem. My man Haki gave me the tickets. He's going to be on stage. I got tickets. He's going to bring me in the back to meet the Jackson 5 and all of them. You know?" So he said, "Who you going to take? You taking, you know, Ramona?" I said, "Nah, I can't take Ramona because she's, with her mom's. Well, why don't you take Savannah, I said, nah, I'm not going that route. Then I thought about it. I'll figure it out. But I got 2 tickets, man, And he said, so then what you gonna do? I said, well, whatever I do, it's got to be funky. And that means after the show, hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, we gonna party. Hey, and everybody was happy, elated, put the guns to the side. The sister was cool. George hit her off with a G note, man. I was like, this woman a G, man. But it came from George, And George hugged us all, and he said, didn't I tell you, Pringle, these young brothers is the best, man. These are revolutionary gangsters, man. And Jamel says, we are Black Panthers. Power to the people. And I said, power to the people. And Raheem says, well, we still 5%ers, ain't we? And we looked at him and laughed. And we said, we revolutionary gangsters, Black Panthers, power to the people. Later for all of that other stuff. Who is the original man? The Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the father of civilization, the god of the universe. Yeah, okay. All right. Who got money like this? Who doing what we do? Nobody but revolutionary gangsters. I said, I'm going to meet up with John Thomas, and I said, I'm going to donate some weapons to the party, and I'm giving the party at least $3,000, for the brothers, man, and the sisters, and that's it. And that was basically the conclusion of chapter 1. Chapter 1. And I didn't read it, because it's all here and here and here. It's real, okay? It's real. And as you see, this is the rest. Okay, so I hope that everybody enjoyed that. I hope that my people, okay, from around the world, Africa, Asia, Europe, USA, I hope everybody that heard this story tonight that I ad-libbed has an idea of what my autobiography is about. And maybe one day I'll be in front of a camera and I'll just be kicking it real and live like I just did tonight. So with that, my peoples of the world, I'm going to say like this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Power to the people.